Trojans Live. You're listening to The Beast. This show is brought to you by Hyundai, proud supporter of college football and loyal fans everywhere. Jordan Moore, John Jackson, and the head coach Steve Sarkisian for one more segment sitting down with us. Time to turn our attention to the Bruins, which I know you have for several days now. And, well, every USC fan shudders at the thought of a mobile quarterback. Sark, we've seen him burn us in the past. And, I know you're not going to give us the game plan, but maybe some schools of thought, some fundamentals of defense and what it takes to stop one of these guys who is a true dual threat.
Well, I think the first is to recognize Brett can throw the ball really well. We've all seen that. And, I recruited him out of high school, know he and his family very well. He can make all the throws. He's not a one-dimensional player who's just a runner. So, one, you have to defend these guys. You have to cover these receivers that are running, Jordan Payton and Devin Lucien and Fuller and all these guys that are running all over the field. You have to defend those guys. Two, you have to defend a running game that they've really kind of generated here over the last 5 or 6 weeks with Perkins coming out of the backfield running the ball. So then it lends itself to Brett, where you have the zone read stuff, where there's the true zone read where he can give it or keep it and run. Then you also have the designed quarterback runs, the quarterback draws off of the pass game. And then probably the hardest part is they call a pass, he doesn't like the look of it, then he tucks it and runs. So there's really 3 levels to it all. The biggest key to it all is just being sound, by being in your gap, doing your job, and then ultimately tackling. We're going to have to tackle them, and it's going to happen. It's going to have to happen more than once. It's going to have to be a reoccurring theme, and that's really going to be one of the biggest challenges of the game.
One of the things that we've talked about, over the weeks is the improvement on the defensive line, and in particular, Claude Pallone and Townsend. I know all the other guys have played well, but those guys being athletic linemen and the improvement they've shown, how much does that sort of factor into the game plan in terms of what you're confident that your team can do?
Well, I think it's huge. I think on a couple fronts. One, it gives us more bodies. JJ, we're able to rotate guys. I mean, we haven't been subbing. Leonard actually gets to take a break.
Right.
And in turn, he plays better when he's in. He's more active. He's getting off blocks. And whether it's Antoine Woods, Delvon Simmons, Claude, Greg Townsend, Scott Felix, now we have J.R. Tavai back. All that stuff helps, and we've integrated Quentin Powell into that coming off the edge. So the more bodies, the fresher you are doing things right, the more active you are, knowing I don't have to play this 12-play drive. I get 4 plays and I can come out. So that's where it all plays together.
The defense has been on point really for most of the games. The game plans have really been on point. Then you get to the end of the game, and I thought you were really open and honest with us, say, after the Cal game, talking about there's no reason to be conservative. It's about coaching this aggressive mindset, particularly defensively. You're really talking about, so how do you coach that up this week, knowing it's going to take 60 minutes to beat UCLA?
Well, we know this. Brett and that offense really is at their best in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
when you look at their numbers and you look at the games that they've been in, that's when he's really been his most efficient, and that's a credit to their coaching staff and all those things. So we have to continue to be aggressive in this game. That we have no choice. We don't have a chance just to sit back and wait it out and hope they screw it up. We're going to have to stay aggressive. We're going to have to stay within the game plan, continue to do the things that were successful in the first 3 quarters or so, and keep doing it and playing with that confidence. And that is not just Saturday. That's moving forward as a program. Yep. And so how do you do it? You preach it, you talk about it, and then ultimately you go and do it when your number's called.
When I look at UCLA, analyzing their season, a close game against Memphis, down to the wire against Cal, down to the wire against Colorado, lose to Utah, but then they roll ASU and they roll Washington. Which team is this? Is it almost like 2 different teams that show up, or what are you seeing on film?
Well, like anything, when you play 10 games of football and you look at us, you look at them, you look at any team around the country. I mean, you can look at Oregon, and they're the number, whatever they are, 1 or 2 team in the country. Losing at home to an Arizona, fighting their tail off to beat a Cal team on a Thursday night. So in this conference, the biggest thing that I'm seeing and understanding is, man, every team can beat any team on any given Saturday if you're not prepared to play. And when you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old guys, man, that's the challenge of how do you get them really locked in every single time you go, and then keep them locked in for 60 minutes every time you go. So I know Jim is thinking the same thing over there. How do I make sure our team is as focused as I want them to be Saturday at 5 o'clock? to put our best foot forward. You know, he wants the team that beat Arizona State, you know, whatever it was to nothing, and not the team that was in double overtime against Colorado. And the same goes for me, right? I want our best Trojan team to take the field Saturday at 5.
You know, another interesting thing I thought you said this week, we've seen Nelson Aguilar put together 2 incredible games back-to-back. You know, really the first time ever a USC receiver has gone back-to-back with 200-yard receiving games. But you talked about saying you were hard on him after the Utah game. He made a couple crucial errors in that game. Is it really important for a coach to know who you can be hard on, who's going to respond by all of a sudden giving you their career best, and then other guys, you know, maybe you have to massage a little bit more?
Well, what we've pride ourselves on, and we'll continue to, and Cody will tell you the same thing, we coach our best players the hardest, because any other player in that room can say, if he's coaching Cody Kessler like that, if he's coaching Nelson Aguilar like that, if he's coaching Buck Allen like that, then I can coach any other guy as hard as I want. And those guys, to their credit, have been unbelievable of taking constructive criticism, of really trying to develop the skill set that we're asking of them to get better at. I mean, we talked about Buck running the ball early in the season, some of the anticipation of Cody throwing it down the field. So we challenge these guys. We've been hard on these guys, and in turn, we don't hide it, and we're coaching it right in front of everybody on the team. And when we're coaching them that hard, we can coach anybody that hard. And I think it just sets a really good precedent in our locker room and in our team room.
You know, the passing game has really evolved, you know, over the last couple of weeks. You know, it might be part of the opponent, or, you know, or part of these guys, like you said, sort of stepping up to do it. For your standpoint in terms of confidence in the passing game, are you to that point? Because I know you had confidence in the run game, especially early in the season. Are you now to the same level of confidence with the pass game?
I think so. You know, I think we've talked about Nelson, and we know what he's all about. I really think the development of Juju Smith. Juju is really confident in what he's doing on the field right now, and really gets the system and understanding it. I think the kind of the implementation of George Farmer here the last couple weeks, he's starting to show up. Randall Telfer is getting more involved. We're still throwing the ball to the running backs of the backfield. Buck had a great game catching the ball last Thursday against Cal. So I think the ball's getting spread enough. I mean, I know Nelson had 16 catches the other night, but Cody completed, I think, 32 passes. Yep. So there was still another bunch of balls that got thrown all over the field that guys are making plays, and they're doing it with confidence, you know. And that's a tribute to T. Martin and Clay Helton and all these guys coaching our guys up to perform when their number's called.
This is a town of screenwriters, but you seem to have the best script in town. What is going on in the first quarter that you guys always seem to come out just humming, and how do you bottle it so that you know, a couple times we see you get bogged down in the second half, you know, bottle it so that, you know, that's just 4 quarters of just ruthless efficiency.
Well, I think that it's a credit to Clay Helton, Tim Drevno, T. Martin, Marcus Tuiasopo, Johnny Nansen. Those guys on the offensive staff have just been tremendous in really getting our players to understand the game plan of what we're doing, why we're trying to do it, and then performing really efficiently along with it. On the other side, we're playing really good defense in the first quarter, too. I think teams have only scored 22 points or something in the first quarter.
Second in the nation in first quarter margin.
So I think our defense is understanding what we're trying to get done as well. And in turn, as a team, we're just playing really well right off the bat. And you're exactly right. How do we maintain that and continue to play that style of football for 4 quarters? And that's part of the process, you know, and that's what's really cool about developing a program and a team to play the way you want them to play.
You talked about the importance of containing emotions in this game because it's a rivalry game and all of that. You know, I know it's, you know, we're, you know, early in the week, but how has that sort of developed for you, you know, with the players so far?
I think it's been fine, JJ. Again, I don't spend a lot of time talking about it. We're really right to the point with it. The guys, you know, I don't hear it, right, which is what's great about it. You know, I mean, obviously Friday night in the hotel we'll talk a bit more about it. You know, none of us want the silly penalties, post-whistle penalties that sometimes can occur in these types of games. We want a really clean, good football game. We want 2 good teams to go play each other and see what happens, see who wins it.
Both teams seem to be peaking at the right time, and Saturday would be a good time to break out your best game. I know that's what you're looking for, and I know that's what your quarterback is looking for. Cody Kessler is going to tell us all about it when we come back on Trojans Live at the Lab.